Yo, we are live again on another 10X weekly episode of where my co-host Dee Dee, woohoo, and myself interview, some icons in dentistry that are doing different things they have a lot to offer. These aren't guys that are new at this. These are guys that have had their failures. They've done the hard work. They've done the CE. They're at the pinnacle of their career, and they're having a good time, but they're also in a position now where they're willing to share some of this stuff, and get people involved and basically give a game plan, a career plan to a lot of these younger guys who are like, what do I do? They need the clinical skills, but they don't know what course to go to. They don't know what direction to go to. They need the business skills, but they're like, man, there's a consultant on every corner now. Who do I listen to? And so, 10X is their stop to understand what it really takes to be ultra successful in practice, not just from a financial standpoint, but from a clinical and emotional reward standpoint as well. Today, man, I have this guy on, and, he doesn't know everything that I'm going to say by any means, because this is totally live. But, man, I've been following Mike Tischler quite some time. Man, what a freaking clinical rock star you are, dude. I know you're this super humble guy, but I'm going to just promote you like hell. Man, I see your work. I see the videos that you post. Man, you do this awesome, amazing work. I know you've taken thousands of hours of CE to get to this point. I know you've had failures out of the wazoo to be able to get to the point to where you're like, man, I've finally gotten these things down and perfected these systems. I've got this recipe for successful implant, immediate load, zirconia, full dentistry. And not only that, man, there's profit in it. There's a huge demand for it. I know there is. I have a really successful practice where, man, I'm still doing a lot of overdentures, and I would love to get those people to move into zirconia, but, finances are an option. But, honestly, as, we talked a little bit before, this isn't something that, a guy a year out of school needs to be jumping into. This takes some time for training. It takes an investment in equipment and things like that. But, I'm here to try to understand, I want your version of where you're at today. First, I want to know where you started with all this, how you got all these crazy ideas to get into this. Where did you go, dude? Obviously, well, I'm going to back up real quick. And first, hey, dude, Facebook Live is so cool because we have all coasts represented right now. We got Dee Dee, Miss West Coast. We got Mike, East Coast, and I'm on the dirty South Coast. And this is the beauty of Facebook Live. So, Mike, man, give me a little background. How long you been a dentist now, dude?
I graduated Georgetown in 89, so just about 30 years.
Awesome.
30 years. My dad, I joined my dad. I didn't do a residency in Woodstock, New York. He had a nice practice. And 10 years in, I just decided to get into implants. And my buddy, Dr. Deagle from dental school, he was kind of trained through his partner, who my buddy Scott Gans knew, and Elon, and he passed away years ago. But he really got him into it, and he told me to go to Mish. So I took Carl's training in Pittsburgh about 20 years ago. And when I left the Mish Institute, it was down in Atlanta, the first session. And I left to go to the airport at Hartsfield, and I knew something hit me. I just literally I had tears rolling down my eyes. I just knew this was going to rock my world. And I haven't stopped ever since then. And here we are 20 years later, and I really, I love it. It's really,
awesome.
It's
and
fun.
it shows, man. Dude, when you post videos about your work, I'm just like, man, this guy loves what he does. He likes the perfection and the art of being able to do this complex surgery, and it's amazing, dude. And I went through this period, similar to you, man. I got into the whole cosmetic thing, and, did a lot of full mouth reconstruction stuff, went through LVI and got into cosmetics. But that's what pulled me. And, the cosmetic boom isn't what it used to be back in 2005. And I will tell you, the public is so much more aware of what implants are now. And right. Implants have become the hot topic, dude. And if, I wanted to invite you on because, man, I wanted to get somebody who's at the pinnacle of their craft. And that's you, man. I mean, much respect. And, man, especially to be trained by Mish and stuff like that. But I mean, how did it evolve? I mean, did you choose a certain implant? Is there a reason why you have a certain implant, a certain style? I mean, are you doing this new PRF stuff,
Absolutely. I mean, when I took Carl's course, I remember he signed his book and may the force be with you. He was all about forces and implants, and the principles in that book is what's really driven me to success. So I started with his implant system, which is BioHorizons 20 years ago. And back then, he had different implants for different bone densities. So he had all different thread, depths and thread pitches. I'm still using BioHorizons. I've been with them for 20 years. And I just believed in him. And I went from there, and I took courses with Mike Picos and Pat Allen and Paul Fukuzato, a lot of over-the-shoulder courses. I think about 12 years ago, I got my ABOI diplomat status through the AID. I had ICOI diplomat status. As I lecture, it's really important, I feel, for dentists that want to get to a higher level of implant treatment to join the organizations at AID, ICOI, and go through the credentialing process, because that makes you a better dentist when you're tested. And it's a very multidisciplinary field. It really is. And for years, I did the prosthetics and the surgery. And I'm at the point now, Claudia Patch is going to join us in a little bit.
Awesome.
She's my partner. She does the prosthetics, and I just do surgery.
That's great, man. And that's a great relationship, especially if she enjoys the prosthetics and stuff like that. What a great relationship, as far as the way to practice. You're doing what you want to do. You're doing what you're great at doing. You're doing what you're passionate at doing. I've got a couple of associates as well. And, mine is different. I'm a general practice and haven't really taken the specialty, but, it's cool, man, to be able to really, do that thing that you love. And it's almost like you're functioning as an implant specialist at this point, right?
It is. And, and Dee Dee and I were just talking before. I mean, where anything like that starts is through setting goals. And Absolutely. Goals have to be driven by passion. Mm-hmm. And once you have a real inner passion, and that passion I felt, in Atlanta 20 years ago was right there physically. I felt it rocking my whole body. And I'm real big on, if you read, there's so many books, and I talk about this in my presentations, Think and Grow Rich, Jack Canfield, The Success Principles. Every book, in my opinion, you can read 50 of them, but they all say the same thing. Come from passion, visualize goals, write them down. And I like to see where I'm going to be in 5 years and 10 years. And I basically attract those things through making choices and energy. And it's a way to live life. Dee Dee, any thoughts on that? I know we were talking about it a little bit.
You're singing to the choir. Like, I love it. I read your book overnight, and you talked a lot about that, where we're all responsible for our life. And if we have a vision and we're setting goals, it's our job to step up to that and get in action. Dreams without a deadline is just a nice thing. It's never going to happen.
It is, but I think a lot of people miss the fact that, you write them down. I spend a lot of time actually meditating and visualizing them, and then I work hard, but I don't call it work, because when you're working for your passion, it's not work. It's a labor of love. So people ask me, how do I do all the things I do? I don't know. I'm about balance. So I'm still, I'm a great marriage, having dinner with my kids. Now they're in college, but I kind of juggled a lifestyle that I was able to do all these things and make it all happen. And, I think that's a secret. I really do.
That's cool.
So when you actually talked about the books that you're reading, and like the biggest struggle that I find when we work with dentists is implementation of anything that they're learning. So whether it's a clinical skill or whether it's they read this great book.
Lost you for a second there.
Yeah. Dee Dee gets locked out. That must be something West Coast, with Silicon Valley or something like that. And no, but I hear you. And one of the things that I hear that is so in common amongst ultra successful dentists, man, dude, you read books. My bookshelf. Some of my bookshelf is behind me, and man, I'm always picking up a business book or this book or that book. Because I'll pick up a little pearl from each one of them. But I'm like you. It's visualization, write down your goals, and get into action. One of the things that I have had personally, and I've been lucky and quote blessed, to be in my life, is a bunch of guys who are successful, but they also hold me accountable. And it's hard to be out there in your lone dental practice, in your lone world, because, you're your worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, especially with all my story and all the crap I've been through, to stay strong and keep those goals focused and not go, you know what, man, I'm just going to be your average, everyday, ordinary dentist, and I'm cool with this, and I'm not going to keep growing. Man, I didn't waste all that time trying to get in dental school and going through dental school and getting in debt to just not ever grow anymore. It's not going to happen. Personally, professionally, I want to keep growing and going.
But I think everybody has different comfort levels of where they want to be. I like living where the air is a little thin, but that just comes to me naturally. I like to really push myself. It makes me feel more alive. Every day is a new day for me. One of the books that really hit me years ago was Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, and he talks about how when a missile guides, and it really resonated with me, how a missile guides to a target, it doesn't just go straight to the target, it does corrections. And sometimes when you have a goal and you're really committed to it, you could be going backwards, but as long as you know you're still going there, you can learn from those backward steps and correct and still get there. It's about perseverance, and it's about strong conviction to where you want to be as a person when you set goals. So it's really, goals have to be deep. Dee Dee, you got cut off. I didn't want to, what were you saying there?
I'm back. Well, the question I had is implementation. I've worked with a lot of clients with vision and goals, and I get the inner drive, but it's that, how do we motivate our teams to step up to those implementations? When they go and have a course with you and they come home and they're wanting to, change their whole paradigm.
Yeah. The only way to do that, because we I've been doing this for years, it's called leadership. And leadership is about people seeing something in you that they want to emulate because it's so natural, I guess. Good leaders, people follow. And what you do is, I've learned one of the ways I do so many things is I give tasks to people to raise them up so they can better themselves and we all benefit. Leadership's about communication in a dental team, because I have the lab, I have the franchise, and I have my dental practice, and we all have bonus programs. We have a combined vision together, so everyone's got a benefit, and that's what it is. Yeah.
So I've got Facebook Live viewers that are commenting that want a few questions asked. I've got some younger dentists chiming in, and one of them says, basically, hey guys, I really want to learn, full arch and how to do this full arch stuff. Where do I start?
Well, I think before Michael Phelps, swam the relay races, he learned one stroke. Yeah. And you got to get some of the basics down. Like when I got into implants, when I went to Mich, I actually went down there. I took a pig jaw course about 8 years after school, and I learned how to flap and do perio surgery. I was ready to place implants, and I thought I was going to place implants just in the lower mandible, something away from nerves and simple. Now I know there's nothing simple. You got to know your anatomy. No, someone could be dead from bleeding if you don't know your anatomy. So you start at your comfort level. You don't jump into full arch unless you know how to flap, suture, you understand your anatomy, how to read CAT scans, understand the many things that go with it, pharmacology, psychology, how to present these big cases. I mean, you can't present a $30,000 arch unless you don't have that deer in the headlight look in your eyes, because no patient's going to do it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Confidence is where it's at. And, that's why I keep preaching that, man, it's tough for a lot of these young guys to get CE. Man, a lot of these guys are mortgaged to the hilt. It costs a ton to go to dental school now, and they're looking for starting points in certain books or whatever to learn from. And, that's the first thing, to do it. I just had another guy comment, man, do you teach?
Do I teach?
Do you have a course that I can go to start learning this stuff, man? I mean, where I can sign up and pay you money and take your course.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I've been teaching for years. I've been teaching single implants and all that. So now I only teach full arch. But protaucourse.com, and if you want, I'll give you the history of what Protau is and what zirconia. It's a product from Zirconzon. It's the zirconia we use for full arch. And that's what my franchise, Teeth Tomorrow, is based on. But Tischler Dental Laboratory, so that course is protaucourse.com, Prettau course.com. And then there's videos, zrbridge.com. I try to share what I know. I like it. Our lab, Tischler Dental Laboratory, is the only lab in the U.S. and maybe the world that's dedicated to one thing. We don't do crown and bridge. We do full arch, screw retain, zirconia. That's all we do.
With the Prettau, right?
With the Prettau bridge. And Prettau was named after a region in Italy. Zirconzon's from Italy. It happens to be one of the most tested zirconias out there. There are cases 15 years out in Italy and Europe that are functioning perfect. And some of those are all on 3 and they're not that thick. Wow. So I like, Zirconzon was the first company to put together a whole protocol with this. So I hung my hat on Prettau 6 years ago. And I kind of ran with that. I knew it. And the history is I was involved with a kind of a franchise type thing that was based on acrylic. And I had never done screw retain acrylic before. And I had so many failures in 2 years. 1/3 of our 30 arches had to be replaced with zirconia later on. And I just knew it couldn't get worse. I'm not a fan of acrylic on any level. And at that point, I had opened up my lab and I just ran with it. Here we are. We just came out with a study in JPD, which is not that easy to get into. Last year, 2,000 arches from my lab with a 99% success rate. We had people go right through all the records, and I know that that's accurate because we have a 5-year warranty, and I can tell you right now that if a patient has a cracked bridge, we're going to know 5 minutes later if we have to replace it. And then we recapitulated this study this year in JPD. 4yearstudy.com is the link, and anybody can look at it, where we took about 200 arches. Dr. Patch will join us in a minute. And we have a 99% prosthetic success rate, meaning no cracks, nothing, and a 98% implant success rate. So this is why I'm so enthusiastic about this approach, because we're talking about baby boomers here, guys. And there's 75 million baby boomers in the U.S., and these people are between 55 and 72, let's say, and they're vulnerable. They're spending their last dollars. And our book, I'm going to plug the book, and this just came out 2 days ago. This is the dental turning point for baby boomers. And what Dr. Patch and I did is we put together a book for patients that are making these decisions on what they should do. And what's happening is these people have dentistry, a lot of these 75 million people, and 10,000 are turning 65 every day. So they're out there. They're out there in Northern California, Florida, New York, everywhere.
Southern California.
Everywhere, even Hollywood. And what's happening is they have all this dentistry, and there's an end life to dentistry. The dental insurance says, 7 to 10 years for a bridge. So they have this failing dentistry. Some of these people are better served by not redoing dentistry that inevitably probably will fail. One of the reasons could be they're on one of the 500 meds that cause xerostomia.
Yeah, no kidding. Tell me about that.
Now we have a solution that really works, because I don't feel that an acrylic hybrid bridge or all-on-4 acrylic is really the right answer for these people, because I don't want to see them doing this and then 10 years later having to redo stuff in their 70s and 80s. I feel as a responsibility with what I've seen, and we waited 5 years to introduce this product really as a franchise because we know it works. I'm not fooling around here.
Oh, dude, your success rates are just stupid good.
It's the truth, though.
I mean, they're amazing, and you know, you bring the research with it, and you know, stuff like that. And I mean, dude, I read your article in Dentistry Today. For those that don't know, man, Mike's got a featured article on implants in Dentistry Today.
That's fun. I like that.
You know, I know it is, and for older guys that still actually pick up a physical, you know, magazine and read it. You know, I mean, you know, it's fun to read, and there's always some good stuff in there. But I mean, you know, there's so many guys online now looking to get all their info online, and you know, there's a bridge and a gap happening, but it's happening good. But anyway, you know, Mike is the man. I mean, he knows his stuff and knows it well. The biggest thing that I'm seeing, you know, in my practice, demographically speaking, my practice is, you know, lower income. And I have to deal with overdentures, over implants. And I'm getting to place quite a few implants.
Sure.
And, you know, I have done, you know, a full upper arch zirconia, you know, and every once and again, I'll have someone willing to invest that kind of money to do that kind of stuff. And of course, you know, as you know, I've been out there a while. I'm a seasoned dentist. I've taken my share of implant courses as well. But I like your system. You know, mine isn't so graceful, I guess you could say, or fast. You know, I mean, usually, you know, I'm allowing a whole lot longer for implants to settle in and osseointegrate before I'm ever putting anything in. And then, you know, I'm waiting a little bit of that. I'm getting my occlusion just right, perfect in my temps before I'm ever going to any zirconia. And then, you know, relying on a lab that, you know, may or may not have all the exact figures, you know, and understanding of how thick their zirconia needs to be or whatever. And, you know, man, it would be nice. I mean, can I use your lab if I'm not in teeth tomorrow?
100%. The lab, one of the benefits of the lab is that I'm hearing an echo. Anyways, why is that? So we became an incubator for the lab. So Dr. Patch is with a patient. When she comes in, over the last 5 years, you know, the lab learned from us of what works and what doesn't work. At this point in time, we could take somebody that's has failing teeth after adequate, due diligence and treatment planning. We're not just taking out teeth, but there's that turning point where it's right, let's say, or they're edentulous. We could do this in 4 visits over a 6-month period with multiple implant systems. Other people in our lab are using Nobel and Zimmer and all these other systems. I'm using BioHorizons. But yeah, and my lab's adept, and we give a lab script slip, so the next step is covered. Like, we're there to teach you. So this lab course given quarterly, pertaucourse.com, covers surgery, treatment planning, and prosthetics in a 1-day course. I think the next one's in August. That's a nice, feeler to get into this. I think that's a good way to start. But that's what we do.
That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, it gives somebody, a lot of guys out there, hey, if I'm looking to really start learning what you're doing, and let's be honest, and I'm gonna just churn it out. I mean, dude, you're ultra successful. I mean, you really are, in my opinion. You're someone that should definitely, people should take notice. They should follow, and I mean, obviously, I'm not to your level yet. I haven't bought my McLaren yet.
Oh, God.
I heard about the McLaren. So
I have my vet, dude. I got my Grand Sport, but I'm not quite there yet.
I'm a guy. Race. I like McLarens. What can I tell you? I don't race on the track, but I don't even do that.
On the track? Yep.
No, I'm good. I like good things. I like good things, whatever I do, and that's something I enjoy. Everybody's got to go after what they enjoy. But yeah, we see so many different levels of expertise for people. So with the franchise we have, Teeth Tomorrow, that's really for advanced implant dentists and more specialists and people that have groups of patients with networks and people that have done a lot of full arch. So where you are in New Orleans, overdentures certainly could be an option. So today on Facebook, there was a case from Italy with a broken zirconia bridge. And I had to do a post on it because the post said, I'm going back to PFMs because it fractured. Well, the reason it fractured, it was too thin, and it was a 2-tooth cantilever, and it was obvious why it fractured. When zirconia is thick enough, and we have come up with a paradigm of 12 millimeters or more, which means you've got to do bone reduction.
Right.
And a lot of dentists I find are afraid to do bone reduction. But what happens is when you do enough bone reduction, and we have formulas that we teach in the course, you now have, you hide the zirconia gingival junction. So when patients smile, the prosthesis is now thick enough so you don't have to worry about that. And we're doing what Carl used to call FP2 or FP3, where we have an artificial gingiva area. So we're not worried about recession. I used to do FP1, which is like crown and bridge almost on implants for years. That's what I taught. That's what I did.
Sweet.
I don't see that as being the go-to full arch prosthesis anymore. First of all, it's not as retrievable as a screw retained zirconia bridge.
Okay.
You're now susceptible to recession. So you do this on a person in their 50s or 60s, they're eventually probably going to get recession, and now they have a gray area when they smile. What this does, what's that?
And they hate it. I hear that from patients all the time. It's like, I went through all of this, and I don't want anything gray in my mouth.
So what this does, with what I love about the Pertau bridge, and I have to say, when I talk about Pertau, that is one that's proven. I don't know about some of the other zirconias because they haven't been tested long enough, and it concerns me. So I use Pertau. There's a sintering process. There's all kinds of fillers involved. So I'm not going to do all these arches unless it's been proven. That's why we jumped on this one type of zirconia, and it's been quite successful. But with this bridge, when you have an FP3 situation, now you've taken into account recession. Zirconia is very strong from a modulus of elasticity standpoint. I was trained that implants want to be splinted. I was just asked this today online, and when you splint implants with something that doesn't attract plaque like acrylic does, you have the perfect formula for success. It's strong, it doesn't break when it's thick enough, and it doesn't attract plaque. It's what you need.
That's awesome. Yep. I totally agree with you. I mean, I would love to have every one of these people that I do an overdenture, to get into some type of zirconia. But, cost is an issue and financing is an issue. And, I mean, I'm dealing with, certain people. But like you said, there's people out there, obviously, from what you're doing that can't afford this. And, getting that network of people and getting them into your office is always a challenge. But you've got to become, quote, that's what that guy does. And, you and I spoke in the past about, your whole Teeth Tomorrow stuff. And obviously I'm impressed, but in my current situation, hey, I've got to make business decisions when they need to be made and stuff like that. But, I'm more interested in what you can teach me from your experience to make, when I'm ready to pull the trigger and go Teeth Tomorrow in New Orleans, man, I need to know I have a foundation and somebody I can pick up the cell phone and call and go, man, this is kind of different than what I've seen, although I've done a crap load of implants and I'm a seasoned practitioner. But, dude, you're doing way more than me. What about this case,
Well, that's what the lab offers you. Like if you get into the lab and you start doing cases, we're going to help you with that. And, I've observed now we're almost up to 4,000 arches there. So I've had a lot of experience. So one of the things that we've learned and this is how we develop the term Teeth Tomorrow, is we deliver the provisional the next day. So I will, instead of a chair side reline or a guided situation and delivering a provisional the same day that you take teeth out. Mm-hmm. So we found this by accident, and we have our own lab, and the lab couldn't get back to provisional the same day. And Dr. Patch, who hopefully will be here, discovered that delivering the provisional the next day had a lot of benefits. The tissue had shrunk once the healing caps are off. There wasn't bleeding. The patient wasn't in pain. The provisional now is a lab process provisional. So I'll do an upper and lower arch and take out teeth usually in about 2 hours. She'll take about 45 minutes to take an impression. They go home. And I believe the patient out of the dental office, off the sedation, is safer at home resting on their couch. They come back, and we pop in this beautiful lab process provisional that's easy delivery, better provisional. And what you want when you do immediate load, you want to have a provisional that's not going to break.
Yeah.
You want to have and so what we're actually doing now is a lot of offices, we could teach them how to create this provisional in your own office. So you can give us the final, and then what we do is we work out the prosthetics with the provisional, and you take an impression of it, and we copy mill it. So you can actually do this next day process on your own. We could teach that to you if you're a Tischler Dental Lab member. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
Yep.
That's really cool. That's something that I haven't considered. And obviously that's great advice. I mean, you got so many labs out there that, it's like pay me, but what's their experience level with this stuff, and it's very low. So I mean, the opportunity to be able to work with your lab and really go for it and start doing more of these types of cases,
Sure.
even if it's a reduced price just to get my feet wet, is something cool. And I appreciate that. That's awesome.
Thank you. I mean, we're all about share. So the lab fee really is, I priced the lab fee, it's around $4,500 for an arch, comparable to a bar overdenture. I mean, when you start doing a mill bar and acrylic, it's going to be somewhere between, 38 and 43. So we're right in that ballpark for something, I did a lot of bar overdentures, and that was my go-to, I would say, RP4, or whatever Carl called their RP3 instead of FP. I don't mind my terminology, but I go by that FP1, FP2. But I did a lot of bar overdentures. And the problem with the bar overdenture at this point in time is I know if I were missing my teeth, I would rather have something fixed in my mouth than something that comes in and comes out that's made of acrylic. I would. So I assume a lot of my patients would. And when we were treatment planning screw retained acrylic, and I never felt the enthusiasm I feel now is when I'm treatment planning this amazing bridge that doesn't break. And you see the studies, and the patients feel that confidence. They really do. So let's say you were to take it on, Gregg, you're going to be surprised for a few more grand or whatever it is. Like, we charge $31,000 for an arch. I've seen people charge $22,000 for an overdenture, $28,000 more. You can fit it in there, but that enthusiasm, you're going to see a lot of people will do this, and I believe it's the right thing to do.
Hey, Dee Dee, I've got a question. This is for you. This is your cup of tea. How do you create value for this process with your patients?
It's about listening and asking great questions, finding out what are the patient's goals, what matters to them, connect with them, give them your heart, give them your doctor's heart, and and believe in it. I mean, it's like I completely understand this process because I've done hundreds of these cases with patients. And, when they write me a $50,000, $60,000 check, they want to know that we're going to take care of them. So having the confidence in what we deliver is first, and that we can give them our heart and take care of them while they're with us.
Absolutely. I agree. It's a relationship. We have a multi-tier approach when we treatment plan here. So the patient, we have a implant coordinator.
Yeah.
So they screen the patient on the phone, and the patient, we're not afraid to tell them that, this could cost around $25,000 to $35,000, depending on what's going on. They come in for a consult. We do a free pan. I'll pop in the room and introduce myself and kind of get to know them a little bit and feel them out. What do they do for a living? Where are they from? How they hear about us? Look at their health history, relay confidence. And then my assistant talks about the details. We did this on one of our assistants. She comes in and shows them their bridge. We have a hygienist come in, do the probing. So they've met now a bunch of people in the office. Yeah. And because of the leadership and the group buy-in we all have, they feel that vibe of how confident we are and the systems we have in place. We're real big on systems here and creating SOPs, standard operating protocols. And I know Dee Dee will agree with it. It's like I'm a big fan of Blatchford, and Bill is a pilot, and we talk about checklists. And you got to have checklists, because you're not going to be doing this stuff without having scripted protocols on every level. And there's certain things we do: PRF, CAT scan. We do an anesthesiologist. We do a sterile protocol. Everything's draped every time. There's no even questioning it. That's what we have to do.
Isn't it funny? I'm a pilot. I'm a pilot too, and those checklists are just a must. Period.
Absolutely. I don't want to think. I want to go. And that's how I do this in a few hours, instead of seeing people all day taking for an upper and lower arch. You get in, get out, and do your job, and then deliver next and do it well.
And the faster you get in and out, the less post-op issues your patient has. It's a gift to your patient if you know what you're doing when you get in there.
100%.
Yeah. Well, even for all the seasoned guys, that are on here, and I mean, dude, there's a lot of guys that, especially in my 10X group, I know them well, and they're placing a lot of implants. They're doing a lot of, half arch crowns and doing a lot of specialty stuff. And it's really cool. And, it's nice to get to this point in the profession where you can do this really cool stuff. But I mean, to me, back to my 10X goals and to get into this next level is, you know, man, I'm driven. I want to learn what you're doing and how you're doing it. And, you know, I know I've got to put the work in.
You do.
Of course.
I've got to put the work in.
You share it. Go to zrbridge.com. It's a 6-hour video online. It's, I think, $100 and something bucks. Watch that a few times, then come to the course and do it. A lot of people, what Jack Canfield calls, they don't lean in. They think about it. They watch courses, but they don't do it. Unless you do something and physically learn from a mistake and you know, keep the mistakes minimal, you're not going to learn. There's just no way.
Right, exactly. But, you know, and that's the pull. It's like, you know, okay, I hear you. I see where you're doing, what you're doing, how you're doing. I see your success. I see your research. I see all this, but give me my game plan that will get me to where you are.
We get it. Oh, well, where is the game plan? It's about getting. It's about
what you said earlier: vision, goals, and hard work. Come on.
It starts with a goal.
But there's a little bit of knowledge thrown in there. There's a little bit of look. They've got what 50 different implant courses right now.
You know what, though, Gregg? When you set a goal, things happen the right way. So what I like to say is, look, be the best you can be, the best you can see, and learn from others. I learned from mentors. You know, I was around the best. I mean, Mike Picos, Carl Misch, people that really had a vision, and I emulated their vision and learned from them and went to my level, because we're not competing with each other. Everybody's got their own vision. You know, if you have one leg, you're not going to be an Olympic athlete running a track meet unless, you know, you got to take your assets and do what you're best at and take your assets and capabilities and maximize it. And that's all I've done, and I continue to do it.
Right.
I don't plan on stopping either, you know?
Oh, good, dude.
It's because you're on the field. You're not being a spectator. You are on the field, getting in there, and if you make mistakes, you know, you fix them and you learn and you move on.
You know what the biggest mistake is? And it's cliche, not doing something. But you know, be intelligent about it. Don't start your full case, like Carl used to say, your first implant on a female attorney with a high lip line. I mean, you know, on the front tooth. You gotta like get your feet wet, get comfortable, and build it. That's what you do. Case
selection is very important, right?
You know, and you get there.
So awesome. So I want to review a little bit, just to backtrack for people that are viewing in the end, because we have new viewers that have come on. So, you know, Mike, you have your Teeth Tomorrow. You have the Tischler Dental Lab, which anyone can use Tischler Dental Lab.
Yep.
Correct.
For full arch, only for full arch zirconia. That's all we do.
That's beautiful. And thirdly,
you know my analogy there. I give an analogy. It goes back to McLaren, because McLaren does one thing: win F1 races. So I like.
Dude. If you've seen the HBO series or whatever it was on Netflix, HBO, on the history of McLaren, oh my God.
McLaren, for sure. Anyway, go ahead.
Dude, I am such a McLaren fan. It's not even funny. I will get there. We'll talk later. But anyway, you got Teeth Tomorrow, which is killing it. You know, Dee Dee and I have a very good mutual friend, Wayne Sutton, and he's out on the West Coast, and, you know, decided that this was his cup of tea. And I mean, man, I have watched my good friend go from, you know, I wouldn't even say mediocrity, because he was already successful, go from successful to ultra success just by getting in with you and learning a few new things. And I mean, dude, he is just killing it. And I mean, you know, I'm sure Wayne's going to comment later. I actually talked to him earlier. We were going to surprise him with you on this, but you know, and he was going to bust
he posted something yesterday holding the book up. And so Mike Maroon also is part of Teeth Tomorrow too. And
he is.
He wants to build a Teeth Tomorrow separate office. I mean, it's really amazing. It
is. And I mean, dude, but you deserve that success. You know, so many people are on here and want that short, quick, easy stick to success.
I don't play the lottery. I don't like to be given things. I like to earn it. I really do.
Right. Well, and to me, that's 10X philosophy. I mean, I'm big on 10X philosophy. I don't know. I mean, that's one of my Louisiana boy mentors is Grant Cardone that wrote 10X Dental. And it just talks about being passionate about what you do, but not only being passionate, you have got to put the work in. You could party it up or you could put the work in, and it's your choice and your decisions.
You both.
At the end of the day, if you don't put the work in, it's not, the success won't come.
Absolutely.
And so
it feels good. It makes you feel alive. I don't know. It's like working out. When you work out hard, you feel good. I mean, I love that.
Yep, exactly. So, Teeth Tomorrow, Tischler Dental Lab.
My practice, Tischler Implant Dentistry.
Yep.
And then we have the seminar. What's that?
Your book?
So real quick, we'll sideline to the new book. So the new book's for patients.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit and share some info with some people. So back years ago, another guy who's active on 10X is Mac Lee, who wrote the book, I Hate Dentists. I ordered a crap load of those books and sat them in my waiting room and handed them out to everyone in my community. And it made a huge impact in my community on getting people involved and asking the right questions about, what kind of dental work and what kind of dentist that they're going to. Dude, I'm excited. I'm putting in an order for a crap load of these books to distribute in my community ASAP, because I feel like that's it. Dude, what a great marketing tool that you've just given me.
Well, it is biased, but we also cover, and Dee Dee read it, we cover we cover overdentures, we cover all the disciplines, and it does steer towards, we're biased towards full art zirconia.
Sure.
If you're going to do hybrid bridges for the rest of your career, I would not have this book in your waiting room, because I don't feel that's the best way to go.
Right.
But you don't have to be a Teeth Tomorrow doctor to have this in your waiting room and support this, because we're talking about excellence from our lab too. I mean, am I selling this? Yes, but I'm doing what I believe. So I'm not going to be bashful about that.
Good. Well, that's the basis of everything. I mean, we all want to make a little income of what we've done, but I mean, I don't imagine that you plan on buying your next McLaren with sales from a book. I mean,
no, and we're actually giving the proceeds to juvenile diabetes, and all the proceeds. And there's a foundation, my buddy Justin Moody, who runs Implant Pathways with Mike Frymouth. They have a clinic out in Arizona, so we're going to be donating the other proceeds to homeless vets. So we're giving all those profits away. It's not about making money for the book. It's about helping baby boomers, helping people, and helping the profession, hopefully.
Dude, I hope you kill it. I hope you kill it with the book. And, I mean, for anybody listening that's going to hear this, please go buy this book. I mean, I promise you, I will order a ton of these books, because for me, what a cool marketing tool for what I'm already doing and what I aspire to be doing more of. So, I mean, perfect. Thanks for doing that. Big time. My last thing is, your courses. I mean, to me, who does, a moderate amount of implants, that I'm looking to really hone my skills and get the success rate that you're doing, man, I'm looking at you going, hey, when's your next course? How can I go to it? Please teach me something.
Yeah. What's good about protowcourse.com, which is given the next one's, it's given quarterly basis. I have not even spent a lot of time promoting it, but I think more doctors should take it. And I'll tell you why. Even though we're covering full art zirconia, I'm covering bone grafting in there. I'm covering extractions. We're covering prosthetic techniques, some impressions. It's really, I think it's a good course for anybody that wants to go to another level of advanced implant dentistry. So finally, Claudia Patch is going to join us for what? How much time do we have, Gregg? Jeez,
we're all good.
For her.
Yeah, we're all good. We're all sitting here having a good time, and we're pulling her out of the op, right away, to just throw her into a Facebook Live with all these viewers,
This woman has been a blessing in my life, honestly, on so many levels. She's a friend, and she joined me 7 years ago as an associate from an ad on Monster. Dee Dee, there's visualization. I got her resume. She's summa cum laude from Union College. I'm like, oh my gosh, please let her have a personality and be, everything. And here she is. And Claudia, say hi.
Hi.
Hey, Claudia, how are you? Dr. Gregg May and Miss Dee Dee Reid.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we talked about the book, we talked about the Portal course, we talked about a lot of stuff, the lab, how we were an incubator in developing these techniques. Claudia does all the prosthetics. I mean, I cannot begin to cover it. Just talk about the prosthetics for a minute, because I do the surgery.
Sure. I mean, at this point, it's really a straightforward process. I was joking that I'm late because I had so many deliveries today, but I'm not late because of those deliveries. It's the other stuff, because those are really streamlined, and it's just quite predictable at this point. One of them, 4 of the arches were immediately loaded, like bam. And had that provisional accepted with minor modifications, and then went to final without having to make a second provisional.
Describe the 4 visits in basics. What are the 4 visits that we do? 4 visits for a full arch.
So initial impressions, at the time of surgery, we take the final impression and indexing impression. The following day, we deliver the screw retained temporary. Now I'm including that as sort of one experience, because it's back to back, one patient treatment experience. And then I'll do a verification jig try-in and a soft tissue pickup impression 3 to 5 months later, and then final delivery. And a lot of times it goes that way, especially on the mandible, very often.
Yeah, and we're taking a analog impression with a mirror tray, and when Claudia was on maternity leave, I actually did it myself, so it's pretty easy. And it worked.
Wait a minute.
It worked, and we're looking for the digital flow. But you know what? We're down to 4 visits with documented 99% success. We're not in a big rush to change things yet.
And the impression the impression maybe takes 12 minutes. You know, the set time is 6 minutes. It takes you a couple minutes to get everything luted together. It's a splinted open tray technique. Yeah. And it's very straightforward.
And that's all getting in the course.
That's awesome. From an occlusal standpoint, there's so many theories of occlusion out there. Hey, I've been through the occlusion wars in my career. LVI, Pankey, blah blah blah. I mean, you go in and out of whatever. I mean, is there a certain philosophy you stick to with what you're looking to do with your prosthetics?
Yes. So, I'm really looking for bilateral simultaneous contact with shared group function. And the thing is, whatever your occlusal philosophy, it can lend itself to this type of restoration. But keeping it that basic, I've really had a lot of success with it working this way. We have started using the T-scan as part of the protocol, just to refine.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to work without a T-scan ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
I am liking it.
Good.
Yeah.
It's simplified over the years. So yeah, we took that on as a best practice for teeth tomorrow docs too.
I use that with every new patient that comes through the door, doing full digital photography and then doing a T-scan to find out where they are to start.
Sure.
And
we're real big on photography.
It upsells, patients. They're impressed. It's like, oh my gosh, now I can see what actually is going on in my mouth.
Yeah, there's no proprioception, obviously. We're just talking about how we've been an incubator for this, and that's what's been amazing. I have to say, these techniques can be replicated by watching us, but the lab is the real secret sauce, because, there's so many steps involved with this that you can't open up a lab and say, I'm going to become a full arch lab for this. It took us years, and we wasted a lot of pucks, let me tell you, in the beginning. Trial and error, and that's
Mike. I got to interrupt you. I am from New Orleans, so when you say the word secret sauce,
bam,
you just said something good.
Yeah.
It's like, bam, we're all with Emerald. You just gave me the secret sauce. I love it. So basically, man, your lab is helping with all of this stuff, and so that says a lot to work with a lab that I know I can trust.
Yeah, and it's not. We have 25 employees, not hundreds. So you have a dedicated person. It's a real nice experience there. And anything you want to say about Claudia loves the lab because she's helped form it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's come through a lot to get to the point that it is at now, and they're turning out a consistently quality product. You know, this is big time dentistry. Things can happen, and it is a big deal. But for the amount of cases that we're producing and the accuracy, I'm really happy.
Yeah.
Really happy with
it. And we do full contour zirconia. We don't put porcelain on the
No.
facial, the teeth, because there's a documented 20% failure rate of chipping. Chipping is the worst. You know, when you start repairing chipping, whether it be acrylic or this or PFMs, you have it's like someone buying a car and the door falling off. It's not a good thing. It's never going to be as good.
And also, it's just it's not necessary. I mean, we're able to get a very nice aesthetic without having to have that vulnerability. And I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Love it. That's awesome. Dee Dee, you got any final questions for Mike and Claudia?
Yeah, well, I want to know, you talked about your next courses. Do you guys do anything in regards to the relationship building with patients and the connection and having the patients act? What I loved about your book was it talked about having patients being responsible for their self, for their condition. And do you work with doctors with that?
We do. I bring my centered focus protocol into that. Claudia is going to get more involved with the quarterly course, I think, because, you know, I don't cover the prosthetics. Basically, when I cover the prosthetics, I tell them to go watch the video and I give them the basics, but she just, but, you know, Claudia, so what we did, it's really interesting. Through Bill Blatchford, we divided the practice 2 years ago. So it's a surgical practice, Tischler Implant Dentistry, and Claudia kept the name Tischler Patch Dental. So she's got to restore to full practice with hygiene and all that. But she keeps the same leadership principles of team building and all that. Anything you want to say about that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I had a great role model in that regard. And it's just keeping that consistent quality focus through the office, through the team, for the patients. But working with Bill has been very helpful in terms of treatment plan presentation and really focusing on the emotional side of things. And it's very important in terms of getting people. I can tell you've got such a charismatic personality that comes through.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not connected emotionally, no one's going to say yes. That is probably my biggest complaint in our industry is we have these brilliant doctors who go and do clinical courses and then come back to their office and can't get a patient to say yes because they haven't gotten connected in the relationship, and they are all about the technical. They're going to build the watch,
right, and
not tell us what time it is.
Well,
and that's the reward too, because if you let yourself have that connection with people, I mean, all day long, you're getting that feedback that's making you feel satisfied with what you're doing, on top of just the technical stuff.
Claudia likes the connection more than I like the connection with the propofol with my patients. I'll end this, the perspective I say, Carl Misch talked about when you get into implants, you're really replacing millions of years of evolution. Why do molars have 3 roots on softer bone? And now it's our job to replace that. And when you really take that task as a responsibility and own that, I think that's where a lot of enthusiasm can come in and responsibility, and you want to do it well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it, man. Propofol, baby.
Just say it. I don't know. I have to say it for 30 years, though. I'm like my anesthesiologist and my assistants. We have a good time. And then I hand them off to Claudia, and, it's all about.
Well, the fruits of the labor are and the fruits of the grind are amazing. And what you guys are doing there is amazing. And, there's so many people that are looking at your posts and are interested in Teeth Tomorrow. I mean, the rumors are going, man. Teeth Tomorrow, what's that, dude? Oh, that's that dude doing that full mouth zirconia stuff. Whoa, I'm not ready for that. But there are some guys going, man, I've been doing this a while and I want to do what he does, and I'm ready for that. I'm ready to jump in, feet first and really get involved with this stuff. I will tell you, I'm one of those. I'm ready to jump in and get involved heavily just because I'm at that point in my career.
You should. There's 75 million baby boomers. Clear Choice, Teeth Tomorrow, and whatever else is out there can't even address the need. There is an epidemic happening. I'm telling you right now, and that's why we have to do this.
So for me to have you on and go, dude, I got your Teeth Tomorrow and what that's about. dude, you just wrote a book that's going to change my community. You know, that's awesome. I mean, Mr. Goal Setter over here.
Michael takes it easy.
Claudia writes down goals too.
You know, you've given me some coursework that I know that I can take that will get me up to speed on your protocols and the things that you've learned through your failures. Yeah. And, you know, to the end, I know that there's, you know, I mentor a bunch of young dentists that they're nowhere near ready for this stuff. But it's like, look, there's a path that's been set. You've got to do X, Y, and Z to get to this level. There are certain things you need to learn before you can handle these types of complicated cases.
Implant Pathways, Justin Moody and Mike Fryman is a good course to get there. I like their
your secret real quick. I've got Justin Moody on Facebook Live in a few weeks, so we're all good.
Yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. Him and Mike, we ABOI docs, and we went through Mish together, and good friends.
That's awesome. And you know, Dee Dee's sitting here looking at from the emotional and consulting and, you know, business standpoint of, you know, man, this is a good business model, and we can move to this because, as you have pointed out, you know, several times, man, it is here. The implant boom of the baby boomers is here. And if you can either embrace it and learn what you need to know to be successful, 100%. Or you can keep doing, you know, an MOD on number 20.
We need help. I'm telling you, the numbers are there, and demos don't lie. You know, the Census Bureau is, I think, the one government agency we can really count on for accuracy.
Didn't I get a letter from them recently?
Probably.
But anyway, no, but dude, true pleasure, man. I'm so grateful.
Claudia arrived at the party, though.
I'm so grateful y'all took time out of your busy day to do this with us. You know, I mean, you know, my goal is for, you know, thousands of people to hear this and to understand that, you know, this is next level. This is what's hot right now. This is relevant stuff. This is stuff to aspire to be if you're a young dentist. You know,
we're here to help, honestly.
There's certain things, but, you know, don't get in the wrong crew. Don't go looking at the wrong people and listening to wrong advice.
Well, there's value to everybody. Come on, Gregg. I mean, there's no wrong. You know, if you're teaching, you're ahead of the game already, and there's value in everything, honestly. Agreed.
There's value in that. You can get pearls from everything, but they're always inevitably, unfortunately, and I'm on Facebook all the time, obviously, but there's some Facebook groups that do spread some info that ain't on the up and up. I'm just going to be out straight, you know.
I have to agree there. I've seen some stuff and I zip my lips because I don't want to be that guy. But
and I'll give you a prime example. You just posted a case today on a fail zirconia, and you're like, what the hell?
I had to, because you know what? I have to protect this option. And when I see something that's obvious, you didn't see that. It was 8 millimeters, right? Would you get?
I don't think that the thickness is the biggest issue. I would bet that did not fit passively.
That's another. There's 8 things, Bobby, that make this work.
Because even 8 millimeters is going to be strong. Although I don't know the patient history. We're just looking at a little sliver of information, but that would be my go-to, is thinking that it probably didn't fit properly.
Right.
But I like height and thickness. I believe that's what makes it strong. I really do.
But like I said, that's the goal, is to get people aware of where you can go to get great information and great courses and a lab you can rely on that you know is going to be the bomb. And it's just where it's at.
Thank you, buddy. Right? Wow. This is a good time here. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
No, man. Like I said, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. This is a great group. It'll be posted up big time on several groups. If you've learned anything, you know, through this little, you know, fun little, you know, jib jab about, you know, East Coast, West Coast, and South Coast, you know, comment up. Dee Dee's on, I'm on. You know, I'm sure Mike wouldn't mind answering some comments, you know, as people are able to view. And we'll go from there. But this kind of ends our little event here. And I hope y'all have a great afternoon. thanks, Dee Dee. Appreciate you being on with us. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Dr. Claudia. It's good to have you squeeze in there in the least little bit. But you're full of info too, man. You've done so much of this. I'm sure you're such a huge asset. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts and stuff like that, because you're getting to restore prosthetically all of this stuff. And
if you ever want to do a prosthetic thing with her, she'd be glad to talk about that, because I can't.
I hear you, and that's huge too. So I appreciate everybody for chiming in, man. This has been fun, informative, and it's always good to learn from some icons that are on the horizon and really doing some great things for the profession. So I appreciate it, y'all.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.